Hi guys, if you've never invested in real estate before and you want to start investing for the first time, then these 5 questions are what you should answer to help you make good real estate investment decisions. The first is, what's your goal? What's your investment goal? So, there are different things you can achieve, from investing in real estate. One of them is capital gains. For instance, you buy a parcel of land, you wait for some years for it to appreciate, and then you sell it. So let's say you invest at 1 million naira, you wait for it to appreciate till it's worth 7 million naira, then you sell it. You've made 6 million naira. That's capital gains. Another thing you can, achieve or you can gain is cash flow. So if you invest in, say, 2-bedroom apartments at Sango Tedo or Ajah, and then every year these apartments give you, say, 1 million naira, that's cash flow. Over time, you will make back the money that you've invested from this property. Now, it's possible to also, get cash flow and get capital gains. For instance, you buy an apartment and then you rent it out. So you earn 1 million naira every year, and in the say 10th year, you decide to sell the apartment. Let's say you bought it for 25 million naira, and then you were earning 1 million naira, 1.5 million naira every year for 10 years. And in the 10th year, you decide to sell it. And say you sell it at, say, maybe 27 million naira or 30 million naira or 22 million naira, depending on the state of the property at that time. What you have just done, you have gained both cash flow and capital gains on that property. Now, what you should first do is decide, what exactly do I want to gain from this investment? Once you've decided that, then we'll look at your budget. What's your budget? Now the truth is, most people who are investing for the first time do not really have a very high budget, unless in some cases where people who are investing for the first time have a high budget. But then your budget will determine a whole lot of things. Your budget will determine your options, your strategy, your location, and all that. So what's your budget? Are you going to invest 2 million naira? Are you going to invest 5 million naira? Are you going to invest 10 million naira? What's your budget? It's very important. If you do not have a budget, what would happen is that you will just be looking in different markets. So a plot of land in Ekpe right now is selling for like 1.5 million naira. A plot of land in Abidjan is selling for like, say, 21 million naira. If you do not have a budget, you could be looking for land in Abidjan whereas you should be looking at, say, Ekpe or Ibejuleki or another market. So yes, what's your budget? It's very important. And the third question you should answer is, what are your options? What are your options? And this question is tied to the second question, what is your budget? So what are your options? When we say what are your options, now we'll look at it. Okay, so are you buying land? What are your options? I have 4 million naira to invest. What exactly are my options? Am I going to use, the 4 million naira to buy 2 plots of land in Ekpe? Or am I going to use this 4 million naira to buy 1 plot of land in Ibejuleki? Or am I going to go outside of Lagos to buy this land? If you want to invest in properties, what kind of property can you, if you want to invest in buildings, what kind of buildings can you acquire for 4 million naira? If you cannot acquire a building for 4 million naira, then what are you going to do with the 4 million naira? So you need to ask, what are your options? And when asking what are your options, you then should start talking to a realtor, you understand? So that you understand what your options are before going in. Now, the fourth question you now have to ask yourself is, what's your strategy? You see, so many persons invest in real estate without a clear strategy. So an example of a clear strategy is, I'm going to start buying up lands in Ekpe, and then in 10 years, I'm going to sell them, and then I'm going to use the money to probably buy a house in Ajah. That's a strategy. A strategy is, I'm going to be investing in different real estate projects because my money is not so much. I'm going to compound my money, and then I'm going to do what? Use the money to buy an apartment. That's a strategy. So when considering your strategy, the first thing you should think of is location. So I have 2 million naira. What can 2 million naira do for me? Yes, it's also tied to our third question, your options. What can 2 million naira do for me? Should I buy land in developing areas? Or I have 10 million naira. What can 10 million naira do for me? Should I buy multiple, pieces of land in the developing location. Say for instance, you have 10 million naira and you decide to buy 6 plots of land in Ekpe. That's one strategy. Or am I going to use my 10 million naira to buy, say, half plots of land in Abidjan? You understand? Now, the question is, how are these lands in different areas going to appreciate? You have to ask yourself those questions. Now, my 10 million naira, it could probably just afford half plot of land, 300 square meters at Abidjan. Am I going to buy that? Now, when we talk about your strategy, you should also consider where exactly are you buying from? Are you going to be buying from a real estate development company? Are you going to be buying within an estate where there is a promise to, provide infrastructure, and then you just plug into the system? Or are you going to be buying on the streets? Are you going to be buying from individual sellers or the Omonile guys? Are you going to be buying from these guys? Because if you buy from these guys, then there's a difference between buying that and buying from a real estate company. So if you buy from these guys and you buy on the streets, there's no promise of infrastructure. So there's no drainage probably, there's no road probably, unless the government comes to do something about that. What could happen is that the value of a property would not be worth as much as if you were buying within an estate. But if you're buying within an estate, the land is going to be more expensive than if you're buying on the street. So you have to ask yourself, where exactly am I going to be buying? Because when asking yourself that question, you need to consider, okay, what do I want to use this property for? In the next 10 years, what do I want my property to be worth? That would help you determine where to buy from. Now, when looking at your strategy, you also should consider, do I want to, take a payment plan? Say, for instance, I want to buy a plot of land in Aja. How many years can I pay for? And if you're talking about the payment plan, then you should look at your source of income. Can my source of income handle these payment plans for the next 12 months, for the next 18 months, for the next 24 months? Also, when considering the payment plan, you should also consider how much money am I dropping? Because now, the more money you drop, the most likely the interest on your payment reduces. So say for instance, the land is worth 10 million naira and you drop 5 million naira. You could be paying 20% extra or 10% extra. But if you're dropping, say, 2 million naira and they say, okay, don't worry, pay for 24 months, you might end up paying 35%, 40% extra, depending on the seller and the cost of the land. Then you should also consider, okay, my 10 million naira cannot afford, I can't buy one full plot with my 10 million naira in Aja, but can I buy half plot in this same location in Aja? Can I buy half plot? That's another strategy. Then we talk about apartments. You want to buy apartments. Okay, where do I want to buy my apartments? What's the cost of apartments in Shongotedo? What's the cost of apartments in Ikate? What's the cost of apartments in Aja? Where exactly do I want to buy my apartments? You understand? Now, when considering that, you should also consider the rental income. So if I pay 25 million naira for a 2-bedroom apartment, and the rental income is like, say, 1.5 million naira, what's my rate of return, every year? So you should consider that as well. And if you cannot afford an apartment on your own, then you should start asking yourself, should I involve other people? Should I involve my friends? Should I go on a co-ownership platform where I can buy properties with other people? So this is how co-ownership works. There's one full apartment and you want to invest in that apartment, say in Ikate, in Aja, in Ekpe, anywhere, and you cannot afford the entire amount for that property. What do? They split that property into, like, say, 5 or 10, and you own a bit of that property. So let's say the property is worth 40 million naira and they split it into 10. You own 4 million, you invest 4 million naira, so you own 10% of that property. If the property gives rent of, say, 1.5 million naira, it means that you make 150,000 naira every year from that property. Now, when the property is sold, let's say it's sold for, say, 50 million naira, you make 5 million naira from that property. So that's another strategy to earn rent, without having to pull out all that money to buy. Now, even when you're talking about co-ownership, your question should now be, okay, I want to earn rent from properties, but eventually I want to be able to own, my own properties. Now, the question should now be, how many properties are you going to invest in with this co-ownership strategy for you to be able to end up owning your own property? So these are different things that you should be looking at. Now, the last question you should answer is, who is helping me? Who am I investing with? And at this point, that's where Symbolic comes into play, All right, guys, thank you very much for watching. If you want to start your real estate investment process, all you have to do is send an email to info@symbolicdevelopment.com or send us a WhatsApp message. The number is here on the screen. Thank you very much for watching, guys. Bye.